You can also interact with the channel's Eyewitness feature on our Android and Windows 8 platforms. If you have pictures or videos to share with us, tap on the application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and follow the instructions to share your report, pictures, and videos. Now here are some of your pictures from Ola in Bwari FCT. Is this picture of a man who claims he was 1995's best student in the joint matriculation examination and has taken a position in front of the JAMB headquarters in Abuja with a sign hung on his neck claiming that he had come to get his award. From Eddie in Warri comes this picture of a house at number 3 Ovie Palace Road, Ifrun, Delta State, the front of which has been converted to a refuse dump with a blocked drain nearby. Eddie says this is just one of many such sites in the town which pose environmental hazards to the people. And Alfred Adekeye of Ibadan captured this accident scene on the Oyo-Ogbomoso Road, which resulted in the trucks involved going up in flames. The Supreme Court has dismissed a suit filed by Mr. Celestine Omehia seeking to join in a suit to determine whether the first tenure of Governor Rotimi Amechi ended on May the 29th, 2011 or in October. And delivering judgment in the suit, a 5-man panel of the Apex Court held that Mr. Omehia had exhausted all avenues to challenge the election of Mr. Rotimi Amechi as governor of Rivers State and cannot approach the Apex Court through the back door. I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by Mr. Jiti Ogunye, a legal practitioner, to discuss today's court verdict. Mr. Ogunye, you're welcome to the news at 10.
It's my pleasure to be invited here today. Thanks.
Now, what do you make of today's verdict by the Supreme Court?
Well, the verdict of today is very significant for development of the rule of law, as well as being significant for the political interest and forces in Rivers State and Nigeria that are jostling for certain positions. Now, what the Supreme Court has done today is to say that Mr. Celestine Omehia, who preceded Governor Rotimi Amechi in power as the governor of Rivers State, before the Apex Court declared that he shouldn't have been sworn in, not being the person who was the candidate of the party in 2007 election, ought not to have been joined to the action brought by Mr. Cyprian Shuku for the court to determine the question of when the tenure of Governor Amechi, the first tenure, actually started, whether it was on May 29, 2007 or October 26 when he took the oath of office. Now, following the decision of Kafarati J of the High Court, Federal High Court in Abuja, there was an appeal to the Court of Appeal. And at the Court of Appeal, Mr. Celestine Omehia, as he's now been described by the Supreme Court as a meddlesome interloper or mischievous intruder, came into the matter and was joined in the action by the Court of Appeal. And now, following that decision, Governor Rotimi Amechi appealed to the Supreme Court, contending that he ought not to have been joined. And the Supreme Court has agreed with him that he ought not to have been joined and that he was just barging in on the case as it was. So the case is very significant, and the live issues are still there. The matter is not ended yet, and that's why the lawyer, the attorney to Governor Amechi, said that they will now go back to the Court of Appeal and do the needful.
Yes. Well, thank you for taking us through that process. And I was really going to ask you to comment on whether or not this case is over, because it does seem that the substantive suit challenging the tenure of Governor Amechi is still pending.
Exactly. Yes, the substantive issue is still pending. And what went to the Supreme Court was whether Mr. Omehia ought to have been joined to the action. Now that a severance of the serious and the unserious has been done, as it were, by the Supreme Court, I think that the real parties to the action can now go back to the Court of Appeal and then litigate the matter on its merit. That is, for the Court of Appeal to determine the question based on the decision of Kafarati J, when the tenure of the first tenure of Governor Rotimi Amaechi actually started. Now, it is important for us to know that what Kafarati J decided was that since the Supreme Court never annulled the election of 2007 that brought Umea to power, but merely ruled that he was not the one that ought to have been on the ticket. The time or period, 5 months, that Umea spent in power should be deemed to be part of the tenure of Governor Rotimi Amaechi, and that therefore his tenure started not when he took the oath of office, as it had been declared in the case of Obi and INEC, but when Umea took the oath of office. And so what Chief Shuku decided to do was to go to the High Court to find what the decision of the court would be on the issue of the tenure, because INEC towards the 2011 election had rolled out a timetable saying that the tenure as per Obi and INEC case will end in October, but the court ruled otherwise, and that's the matter that has gone to the Court of Appeal. Now, either way, I think that we can comment on the merit of that matter because it's still a live matter. But either way, this tenure has been far spent. And I know that, yes, the Court of Appeal will do justice to the matter. The matter is moot. Now, the issue that heated up the legal environment was, and a lot of people intervened, asking, wondering whether the Supreme Court wanted to revisit the first decision in Amaechi and INEC, was, given what is going on in Rivers State, a lot of people thought that there might be a deus ex machina. And I think that the government will be laughing right now by some strange coincidence. A threat at home in Josephine was removed yesterday, and what was hanging over his head like the sword of Damocles was again removed today by the Supreme Court.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing your insight into this matter with us.
It's my pleasure.
I've been speaking with Mr. Ijiti Ogunye, a legal practitioner. Now, the Borno State Governor, Kashim Shettima, says no amount of threat to the development of Western education by the dreaded sect members of the Boko Haram will alter his plans for the transformation of the sector. The governor, who was speaking to Channels Television in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, confirmed that schools destroyed by the insurgents have been reconstructed and measures taken to improve the sector.
Nigerians paying a huge price as a result of terrorism, and the greatest victims have been Nigerians in the northern part of the country. Terrorism has virtually crippled business activities in northern Nigeria, mainly in the hospitality and recreation sector. But another casualty of terrorism in northern Nigeria is the education sector. Members of the Boko Haram sect have on several occasions attacked schools and killed students and teachers. The governor of Borno State, Kashim Shettima, says he is on a mission to rebuild the educational institutions destroyed by the sect.
We are working assiduously. We have renovated almost 70% of the schools in Borno. From 20 million per month, we are spending 100 million every month on the feeding of public school students in the state. We have introduced preschool busing program for our secondary school students within the metropolis of Maiduguri, Jere, Konduga, and Mapa.
A Aside from developing the education sector, the governor is also giving priority to agricultural development and job creation. The State's Commissioner of Education, Musa Inuakubu, says the aim of the administration is to bridge the existing gaps between public and private schools.
Task of His Excellency is to see to it that all the dilapidated structures in the schools are put in place. So all our hostels, or in most of the schools, all the classrooms, all our staff quarters were all renovated. In fact, we have, as at now that I'm speaking, renovated 80% of our schools in Borno State.
Even as the Borno State government is on a rebuilding and development drive, all these may amount to a waste of effort if the monster called terrorism is not effectively tackled.
The latest redeployment in the Nigerian police is a step to reposition the service for a smooth electoral process come 2015. These were the words of the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Abubakar, today in Lagos at the pull-out parade of 5 senior medical officers. Mr. Abubakar pledged the readiness of the police to ensure the safety of Nigerians.
I will not want to open my chest, but you see a lot of things because we have started. First of all, we are doing training and a training program. As I'm talking to you, we have a very large number of officers of unit of mobile policemen in Gwaza, a very large number of officers too in Ella, and we have very many officers in Pakistan and in Israel and in India for training. And we have intelligence courses being run in the country and outside the country with the FBI with the assistance of the United States government and the Embassy of America in Nigeria. So many things will unfold. Since it is something to do with safety and security, it is rather left on the chest, but you see it unfolding one after the other. But we expect to have more safety and security, and you see in that essence, you can see that we try to reposition the force with the posting of 25 commissioners of police, 25 deputy commissioners of police, and probably about 29 assistant commissioners of police over the country. And this is just the beginning of it.